like it.
Hey, Freedom One Garage likers, subscribers, followers, and such. It's the weekend. We haven't put much video out in a couple of days here. Apologize for that, but we have been jamming on Freedom One to get it ready. Next weekend are the trailer races. So we kind of have it tucked away in the trees here, but it's ready. And by ready, I mean it'll start, it'll make it on the track, and hopefully last more than a lap or two before either I pile it up or it blows up or I get piled up. I'm happy to be ready with a week to spare. We just have to do a couple little things, clean it up next Friday before the main event. So that brings us to today. Cleaned up our mess, got a big hole for projects. However, we've got a lot of, there's the darkness again. We've got a lot of odds and ends. So we're going to, I think, do a little bit of a couple things. Jalen was working on the Falcon, trying to get it cleaned up a little bit this morning. We've got a surprise for the Falcon coming up. Going to do a challenge, going to challenge ourselves to get that thing running, and going to start on that next weekend, it looks like. We've got the Plymouth, we're still working on that. We've got parts ordered for our neighbor John's truck, should be here any minute, any day. They won't come today or tomorrow because it's the weekend, but parts should be here any minute for neighbor John's truck. And I believe we're gonna tinker with the Studebaker pickup a little bit and see about getting it back to where it can run and drive and at least move around on its own power. So that'd be cool. I think today Jalen had started on the Sandblaster cabinet. I hate having things this size that don't have a home or that can't be moved around and are kind of halfway finished. If you're into this kind of stuff, sandblasting, that kind of thing, you know there are some upgrades. This is the old Harbor Freight Sandblaster. Several videos out there on what people are doing to upgrade and make it more better. So we're going to run you through. We kind of put all the little pieces from some of those other videos together, and we think we have a plan on how we're going to set up our blasting cabinet so it will recirculate the sand on its own and be a little more efficient to use and not fill our shop with dust every time we turn it on. So I'm going to jump on that. Jalen was working on the Falcon earlier. He went to go hang out with some friends and do teenage boy stuff, but I cannot stand having that thing immobile and in the way. So we're going to put wheels on it in a simple way, and then we're going to finish it up and see if we can't actually put it into service. I think after going to the freight harbor, the best place on earth, and Tractor Supply of all places, I think I got all the pieces. So let's get to work. First thing we're going to do is we're going to build a tray for the bottom of this thing so we can put casters on it. Lumber, finally, folks, lumber's coming down. I paid less than $5 for a 2x4. I'm pretty proud of that. But yeah, we're going to make a tray out of wood. It's kind of, I've done it before on a couple other implements around here. And put some dollies on it, and then we'll also have additional storage space around the bottom. So the first thing we got to do is measure how big our tray needs to be and get to cut. Okay, tray is done. A couple 2x4s, the cheapest casters I could find at the greatest place on earth, and a scrap piece of OSB from the other shed. So made it so it just fits down in there, and we have some additional storage for parts and pieces on the bottom as well. Let's finish putting this thing together. The other thing, if you watch videos on these on YouTube, is to caulk your vulnerable seams on the inside. That's done. Jalen's installing the light that it came with. We're gonna see how good that is here, and then if that doesn't work, we've got a plan B, because that was one of the things that, when you look at how people are setting these up, lighting is a pretty big deal. We also made this baffle plate here. The idea is air comes into the cabinet at the back. There's a baffle here that's open at the top and at the bottom. So air's going to enter the cabinet there, and then normally it'd come out over here. You hook your shop back up to this thing. The problem is when there's sand and grit and dust flying around in there, a lot of it's going to go, if we didn't have this here, a lot of it would go right into your vacuum. So I just went and got a round piece of HVAC ducting, I think 4-inch or something, and flattened it out, bent it up, and we put a baffle here. So basically you'll have air coming in here and up here and going across the cabinet and exiting here. So hopefully that keeps it clean in there, keeps us from sucking out all of the abrasive material. I did notice I did one thing wrong. I meant to make the cart for it big enough to hold the shop vac and the dust deputy, but I forgot to do that. So we're gonna make an add-on cart, screw it together. It'll be fine, just fine. Teaching moment number 932.
Yes.
Okay, so we just got into, Jalen was installing the light for the Harbor Freight Sandblast cabinet, and this is one half of the electrical equation for the light. This is the other half. Notice brown, notice blue. It just so happens brown and blue. However, instructions are not clear. In fact, there are no instructions on how to hook up the wires. We're going to go through what we do there, if you're not quite sure. So, Jalen, how do we measure resistance? What unit do we? Ohms, right? We just talked about this. So, we've got our handy dandy multimeter out, and Jalen is going to show you how to test whether or not this switch is opening and closing side to side or on the same side.
So you have these, you touch them together and it closes it, and then it makes the numbers because it's closed. Yep. So now the switch is off. So we have these two, and it should be out of limits. I can't read it from here.
Yep. Says out of limits.
And then you turn it on, and it should have numbers. Yeah, it has numbers.
Numbers.
So that means it's opening and closing the circuit.
So what we know is that it's not closing side to side, it's closing top to bottom, which is normally the case. But it was a good teaching moment for Jalen. So that being said, now we know that top is blue, bottom is brown. We're just going to follow that sequence and hook our two wires that go to the light up that way, and it should work and not start a fire. Okay. We're going to let this dangle while we test on it here.
Now it works.
Let's take a look. Okay. We have a light. We don't have enough light. We're going to have to adapt and make more light. Our door faces west or south, so this time of year the sun comes right in. So go ahead and turn the light off, Jalen.
This one?
Yeah. Okay. So here's light off. Imagine you're trying to sandblast in there.
You're sandblasting this.
Okay, we're sandblasting that. Okay, now turn light on. Yeah. Is that good enough light, Jalen?
No.
That's flipping lame, Harbor Freight. We're gonna have to fix it. Updates. It's the next day. This stuff, it takes so much longer than you plan. I mean, and I should be used to it. I'm 50 years old, and I know this. I've been through this so many times, but I think, you know what? Let's get the Sandblaster up and running. I've done my research. I know what I'm doing. I don't. We'll walk in and get you caught up, but flag's up, looking good. The pivot's on again today. Watering the heck out of the bean field. End gun should be shutting off here any second, but old first 60's been getting a workout. But yeah, let's get you in and show you where we're at with this Sandblaster. We have made significant progress. Oh, thought we might have a crop duster coming over. I was gonna watch, but significant progress. But we are on about plan C here. As she sits, I still have to add on to the cart over here. No big deal. We did get the dust deputy hooked up. Harbor Freight had these little 6-gallon shop backs on clearance that still had the big hose that can hook up to the rest of the stuff, and life is pretty good, except for we're having some clogging issues on the inside. We kind of showed you the light that it came with. We've upgraded, so now we can see in there. What we did is pop it open, put just a plain Jane little ceiling light fixture in there, and wired it direct. And then I got one of those little 3-prong garage light dealy bobbers. It just screws into the light socket, and they're angled all different ways. And we got cord here, installed metal switch outlet box. So vacuum plugs in here, system off, system on, system off. So that part went pretty well. Took 3 times longer than we thought it would, but it went pretty well. All the hosing for the dust deputy is going to work. Again, we need to do the cart, but so the media that Harbor Freight sells for these, that they recommend you run, they were out, but I did find it at Tractor Supply. They had 2 sizes, grain sizes. One was medium, one was fine or small, same thing. I got the medium. I thought it'd work. Looking at the bag, looking at, you know, what they wanted for gun tip size and that kind of stuff, but it appears as though we are getting some clogging happening in this area. We've got a fitting, or this is our blaster hose. We've got the nipple fitting that goes in there, but we weren't getting suction up to here. We could periodically get the media to about here, and every once in a while it pull a chunk in through the gun, but not consistent at all. So we're hopefully not starting over. I think my theory is smaller media, less cloggy. So that's going to be fix number 1, because that's more affordable and doesn't require us redoing this entire assortment of fittings and such. Okay, got most of that media out, almost all of it. I think we're good enough. Everything's tightened back up, drain caps on, hose is hooked back up. To give you kind of an idea what we're working with here, this is the media we're using. So that's kind of about the size. That's medium. We'll go get some fine and we'll do a comparison. Now check this out. So that versus that. Hopefully that's our problem. We'll see. Since you're recirculating, you don't need a lot. So I've got like a 3-quart, old 3-quart lemonade pitcher, iced tea pitcher. I just filled it up. So that's our new fine stuff piled in the bottom of the hopper there. We'll put the mesh grill on, and then we'll hook up air and see if our problem's fixed. It works. We got it. So a couple things. Yes, it wanted the finer media. So now if you look real close, see it sucking sand up through the hose here. Couple things very necessary if you're going to do this type of modification to your Sandblaster cabinet. Number 1, a decent pressure regulator. Number 2, a water separator. This blasting media is not going to appreciate any kind of moisture in the air. It's going to gum things up and clog up your spray gunny thing, the spray thing, especially in Nebraska where it's like, it's a nice day, 75 degrees maybe, but about 75 million% humidity. Let's get you an action shot. So we've got the vacuum going, lights on. Jalen's working on the tailgate to the pedal car. Just kind of playing around right now, but it's doing a pretty darn good job. Stays nice and clean in there, plenty of light. If you've done something different with your Sandblaster that you'd like us to try, or if we did something different that you want details on, let us know. We probably have, in addition to the Sandblaster cost, the Dust Deputy is probably the next most expensive piece. 60 bucks Dust Deputy, 40 bucks vacuum, $20 in miscellaneous, $25 in miscellaneous electrical stuff, some of the wire and stuff we had kicking around, and then probably with the regulator and the air dryer, probably $30. So what is that? 60, 100, $150 beyond the cost of the blasting cabinet. Oh, and material at Tractor Supply. Hey, you want cheap? Really cheaper? I mean, cheap. It was very affordable. Coal dust blasting media, a 50-pound bag for $9.99 Tractor Supply. Not a sponsor yet. So $160 now, over the cost of the blasting cabinet. You can get that on sale for about $150. So we're a little over $300 overtime into probably a blasting cabinet that hopefully will rival a lot of the cabinets that, you know, you're spending $1,000 on. Oh, and the wood cart, another 20 bucks there. So we're up to 180. 180 over the cost of the cabinet, and you're set up, ready to rock. Jalen's been kicking it here for, oh, look at that. Look at that. What do you think?
I like it.
Oh, it's too bright. Hang on. Yeah. All right, that's better. Where'd Jay go? Final update on the Sandblaster. Say hello.
Hello.
To the Sandblaster and Jalen. So here's where we're at. Harbor Freight Sandblaster. Continuous, I guess you'd call it hopper feed mod. Air dryer, air pressure regulator. I got that air pressure regulator from the best store in the world. We added on to our little cart, and it just so happens the add-on fits the Dust Deputy and the 6-gallon shop vac perfectly. So we got a little extra hose, but right now the hose is glued in these ends. So for right now, it's just gonna live because it works so good, but we may tidy something up. But anyway, works like a charm. We'll show you a finished product.
Finished side
of the product, and then flip it over, Jay, and we'll kind of, that's about
started.
But you look at that end of it, and that the whole thing was rusty and crusty and had old decals and paint on it and stuff like that. So it's going to be very useful as we go through and do some of these pieces on some of these cars. Jalen's going to give you a little example demonstration of him. Guys and gals, ladies and gents, that's it for this blast cabinet video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you like us mixing this type of content in to our car stuff, keep watching because that's our plan. Like, subscribe, that'll help us out a lot. Comment, we'll try to respond to any comments we can, and we appreciate you watching. See you on the next one.